went to meditation this morning, and I had this feeling in me of, I don't even know if I can articulate it yet, but I'll try. It's this feeling of knowing that I've been lonely for a long time, and feeling like closer to the place of just feeling done with that. And I can reflect on times in the past when I've thought about it and like felt into it, of like a feeling of like connecting with other people in like a physical way, like going out into the world and connecting with people. And I can think back to a time where that felt a little beyond me to do. Felt like I wasn't quite ready yet for it, and like I still wanted to be alone in my little bubble in my cave. And some background, I since probably 2012, I had been working from home for my job. So I was working from home before it was a thing for COVID. And so as time's going on, I'm seeing how the fact that I had such a long time working from home and like in isolation, that's the word that I'm circumnavigating right now, is isolation. Like, how much information do I have about that experience of being isolated for so long for my job, or doing my job in isolation, and how then that unique experience can be bridged and talked about in reference to how so many of us became isolated, or maybe we were already isolated, but we became further isolated during those COVID years. Some people did go work from home. Some people got laid off of their jobs. A lot of businesses closed. A lot of companies closed. So, that scaffolding, that societal community scaffolding that was there before, like suddenly disappeared, or kind of slowly, even. I think it was slowly taken from under us. So, coming from my lived experience, because that's what I know best, that's what I can speak to, what I'm experiencing right now, and how I can reflect on what I've experienced in the past, how it informs now. See, I'm at this place where I know that I had been isolated for a long time. And to a great extent, I am still isolating physically. But I'm at a point of wanting to reach out to the world. And because they put my antenna up to the world, put my banner out there. And I get a little emotional talking about it because I really don't know how or why. Like, why? How to articulate why. I'm getting a little emotional there, but I think that I was lonely for a long time before COVID even happened. I was trying to find myself in the world. I was trying to find who I was. I was trying to find who I was through experiences, through relationships, through romantic relationships. Giving myself something to bounce off of to see, okay, well, what does Caitlin do in this situation? How does Caitlin react in this kind of situation with another person or people? I was trying to get information and data about myself, For a long time, I told myself that it's like my own self-experiment, and that's okay, and that's a good way of thinking, but also like when it's not really informed from a direction of a person that's lived a lot of life and has wisdom, then that can come with a lot of giving oneself away. And I had a lot to give to the world, and a lot to experience, and a lot to be open to. And I think that through that, I know I came to a certain point, and it ended up being during the COVID time, a year in or something, maybe 2019 or 2020, where I realized that I was disconnected from myself. And so, I had been very external in the world. And then I moved into a place where I went very internal when I had that realization. And really had been for all these years on a journey to recollecting myself and recollecting my energy from the different points of the world or the different places. Just recollecting myself. And it's been this cave that I've been in. I'm trying to understand that journey now, get to different places in the journey and the path, and it's wise to take a pause and to look back at as far as the eye can see, and maybe even further than the eye can see, of the journey that's been walked so far. So I feel like I'm at this place, I'm at this pause where I'm trying to make sense of the last 5 years of being in a bubble of my own creation. It's a bubble of my own creation, and a lot of it was, it has been fueled also by the isolation that we've had as a collective. And I think a lot of people are having that experience or have had that experience. I don't think I'm the only one, but this is the first time that I'm talking about it in this way, so kind of don't know, who else is out there. But what I do know is this pause that I'm at, where I'm looking back and trying to make sense of all what's behind me. In the cave, in the bubble, and in the isolation, is it's time to step out. It's time to step out of the isolation. And in comparison to what I said earlier, there's been other times when I paused and took a look back and still felt too scared to step out. Still felt like I needed to be with myself. I needed to be possessive of myself. Raw, too raw, still raw. I feel like now, there's been a lot of layers that have been stripped up, and that's probably where I'm feeling these emotions come from, is because like those layers and those barriers are less so now between myself and the world, because of what I've processed and worked through and recollected in myself as I've been in this cave. And it's just this feeling of the world is right there. The feeling of here's my heart and here's the world. Right there. Right there. Next to each other. Very close. Whereas before there were a lot of layers and armor in between the two. Yeah. And so I wonder what the isolation, and honestly, every time I say the word isolation, you see it, like there's an emotion that's coming with it. The emotion is rising up in me, and I feel it. I feel it here. I feel it here. Like I want to cry, because for a long time I was so numb. And that was scary. And so I was trying to find my reconnection back to the world, back to the sensual, the feeling, emotions, connection. But I think before I was too hurt to like open myself up to even experience that again with people. And so I needed a lot of time, or I took a lot of time, or I wanted a lot of time for myself to be separated from that, to just be with myself and few close people around me. And yeah, I just wonder how many other people out there, or who else out there, was like lonely before the pandemic, didn't feel seen before the pandemic, didn't know where they fit in even before the isolation of the pandemic. And then old pandemic happens and it just brings that feeling deeper of isolation. So what happened with me was I went closer into that isolation of myself from the world. Really went down into that hole. I've been digging myself out of it. Excuse me. Yeah, digging myself out of it. And I think I'm close to the sun now. You know, getting closer to the light. The heat of the sun. The sensation. Feeling the sensation, the senses of the sun and the sky. And the sense of the world on my skin, in my body. And it's like, you know, it's had to come in layers of stepping out. Because it is overwhelming, because it's kind of akin to a baby coming out into the world, out of its mother's womb. And just think about that overloading of light when a baby comes out of the darkness, the overloading of sound, the overloading of touch. It can be a lot at first. So I feel like there's more than two, but like, you know, looking at it in like it's easy to think about things in a dualistic perspective at first. To branch off from that is, you know, there might be two camps of people. There might be, you know, people that were feeling lonely and isolated and unseen even before COVID, that COVID really didn't bring isolation to them. You know, like these people might have still done their everyday thing even though COVID was happening, and the seeing people, you know. And then there's some others of us that, you know, the thing that we were doing for a living was isolating. And then when the community and the collective also went into isolation, like something was lost there, you know, because I did work from home for all those years. And I actually like thought about this at the time. Like I knew that where I would get my social life in was by going out at night, going to dances, going to French dances, going to Zydeco's and dancing. But even in that, there was still like self-segregation, like self-separation in myself, because there was a lot of years in there where I was drinking alcohol and I was disassociating and wasn't really connecting myself to those people, to those friends and acquaintances in those circles, you know, still like feeling fearful of not being able to like show myself. And then I think what COVID isolation did was just further brought me in there to that place. And, you know, out through the other side, like getting out through the other side now. Hey y'all. If the topics that I spoke about in this video today resonated with you and touched you, I would like to invite you to head on over to my YouTube profile. In the description, you can click the link to download your free Discover Your Purpose Self-Coaching Starter Kit. It's a great way to begin uncovering what your true calling, what your true purpose, what your true mission on earth is.